Welcome back to the show this morning. I'm Rose Lance Roberts. And, getting into this Monday, the week before Thanksgiving, by the way.
Where has the year gone?
I know. It's just, and honestly, after this year, I'm completely fine with it.
Yeah.
But, unfortunately, I've been saying that for the last couple of years. It's like, this has been a tough year. Maybe next year will be better. This year, pretty much any year after this year can be better. That's the good thing about 2020. Once we get past the tornadoes, the hurricanes, the flooding, the elections, and the viruses, next year's got to be better. I mean, you pretty much can't.
Yeah, don't ask.
I know, right? Gotta hope. Next year, you can come out of your cave and see your loved ones. That's the goal for 2021. It's interesting. We talk a little bit about the economy, and we talk about how things have changed, right? People are doing things differently. Well, yesterday, I got a haircut.
Nice.
Got a haircut yesterday. But see, this is one of the changes, and this is something my family will probably never change back. We have developed a relationship over the course of this virus. We developed a relationship with a hairstylist that my wife has used for years. She now comes to our house. The whole family shows up. Everybody got a haircut yesterday. It was 6 hours of haircuts and styling in our living room yesterday.
Even the dogs?
No, they don't do the dogs, stupid. They were vacated. But
it costs more to do my dog than it does to do my wife's hair.
Well, that's your problem because
I'm just saying.
You just grab a clipper and go, and you can do a dog pretty cheap.
Well, we make up the difference on me because that's what we do.
Exactly. So, but anyway, it was 6, 7, 8 hours yesterday of blowouts and curls and
that's pretty cool though.
Hair dyeing and great for her, right? She comes to our house, she hangs out all day. My wife calls it hen talk. And so, because all the women get together, they catch up with everything. Yeah. The kids get their hair cut first, and then they're off doing their thing. But, she makes a lot of money. She has no overhead, right? Because normally, like at the salon, she's got to pay a percentage of her tips and stuff off to the salon, like 50%. It's not cheap. She keeps 100% of the money coming to the house. So for her, this is a really good deal for her. She comes out, she knocks out a Sunday afternoon. Got a babysitter. She's got like 3 kids. So she's got a babysitter for a kid. She comes on, makes twice as much money as she does working all day at the salon. And
uses your product.
And uses our product.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing is that, this is a change to the economy that will not, look, this is an isolated incident. But my point is that if we're doing this, it is likely there's a lot of people doing this. And this is a change to the economy that won't go back. Right? It's convenient for us. It's very convenient. My family has a wonderful time doing this. Everybody sits around, they talk, they drink wine, whatever, and they have a great time catching up while they're all getting their hair done. Or as my wife says, get their hair did. So, but that is something that we will unlikely go back to doing differently in the future. But it was something that developed because of the shutdowns. And the issue with the virus, right? And I'm sure that we're not the only ones doing this. I am sure that there's a lot of people that have changed a behavior or changed a structure that will not return even with the vaccine when we get one. And that has implications to the overall economy. And right now you're thinking, but she still made money. Okay, yes, she did. But that activity is not going to be captured within the economic data stream, right? So the problem is going to be a couple of things, right? There's going to be an entire new economy that operates now outside of the captured economic data. That will have an implication on future data reports that we have coming in. And, it's not, I don't want to call it a black market economy, but it's effectively that. I mean, you hear about these black market economies. Well, these black market economies that work on barter, buy or sell, they operate outside of your normal economic data collection, so they don't get that activity, right? It's not included. And there's an entire, process within the economy of people now working outside of the actual economic data. Again, when you and we were talking about the employment numbers a few minutes ago, right? The labor force participation rate, 50% right now. Now, you mean to tell me that out of all the individuals between the ages of 16 and 54, now, by the way, when I'm talking about the labor force participation rate as such, I exclude everybody over the age of 55 to get rid of that whole argument, well, boomers are retiring. When you have 50% of your 16 to 54-year-old population working, you got a problem economically. But again, a lot of those people are working. They're just working outside of the official labor force statistics, right? And so this is something that won't change. So we're going to see some interesting developments come along. But again, this is a small portion of the overall economy, right? But it is something that is going to be a change. Just like when individuals came out of the Great Depression, I'm not saying we're in a depression, but when individuals came out of the Great Depression and banks had failed and people had lost all their money in the banks, because when the banks failed, they lost their money, right? There was no FDIC insurance. The bank failed. It went bankrupt. If you had money in the bank, you were done. So coming out of that, people that had lost money with the bank failure said, I'm never putting my money in a bank again, right? There's, ask your grandparents that lived through that. I mean, I knew a lot of elderly people that literally had jars of money in their house, because they didn't trust the banks. And that was okay, but it was a change of behavior. That experience changed their behavior going forward. This experience coming out of this pandemic is going to change behaviors. It's interesting. Prior to the pandemic, Chinese have been wearing masks forever, right? Every time you see Chinese, pictures of China, blah, 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 they're all running around wearing masks. They've been wearing masks for a long time. This pandemic didn't start a thing, right? In the U.S., we would look at that previously and go, why are they all running around wearing masks? Well, because they had SARS, they had, the avian bird flu, they had all these other things. So that's why they started wearing masks early. We would look at that and go, why are they all running around wearing masks? Well, now we know. And now wearing masks is the thing. So we've changed behavior. We've changed people's activities, right? People have reduced their activities. And even with a vaccine. And let's talk about these vaccines here real quick. Pfizer says their vaccine is about 90% effective. Moderna says, oh, well, ours is 94.5% effective. Reality is that both of these vaccines will likely be about 50% effective. A couple of reasons for that ultimately is that the virus is going to mutate. Once you have a vaccine, the virus will mutate. Just like the flu does, right? There's 150, don't quote me on the number, but there's 150 different variations of the flu. When you go get a flu shot, it treats 5 of the most common. So if you get one of the variations outside of that, guess what? You still get the flu. It happens. So while the vaccine will certainly reduce the number of people getting sick from COVID, it's not going to eliminate it because it will mutate. And so even when we get a vaccine, people are still going to be susceptible to the flu. They're going to be susceptible to now COVID. Now we've got the winter flu season, right? We got the COVID flu season every year going forward. That's going to change economic behaviors. We're going to potentially do less, right? Stay home more, socially isolate, blah, blah, blah. So that's going to have economic impact. So when we take a look at what we're paying for stock prices and valuations relative to economic growth, that's going to be problematic. Will airline travel return back to where it was pre-pandemic anytime soon? Probably not. It's going to be a while. But there's a trade there. Again, don't get me wrong. What we're talking about is long-term recovery, valuations, et cetera, versus short-term trading. Now, again, airline stocks are going to be up real strong today because of the vaccine news, right? So, oh, great, we got a vaccine. People can go out and start flying again. Well, they're not tomorrow. maybe sometime late next year, they'll all get on an airplane. That's a long time to go. And a lot of these airlines are hemorrhaging cash. We're about to see more airlines do more layoffs. We're seeing energy companies do layoffs. We're going to see more and more companies do layoffs. The vaccine news is excellent. Don't get me wrong. But it's going to take time. So chasing markets here that are already overvalued, extended, deviated from long-term means, etc., likely is not going to work out as well as being patient. Let some of this stuff occur. The market's going to pull back. You're going to have a better opportunity to put money to work, in the next couple of months, right? And again, you've had plenty of opportunities this year, right? You had the correction in September. You had a 10% correction in September. You had a 10% correction in October. You had a 35% decline in March. This has been a great year. If you're a trader, this has been a great year for trading stocks. Long-term investors, it's been a little bit more of a challenge because the market's just been very volatile. That's not likely to end anytime soon. And part of our article, it's on the website now, about the market cap to GDP is that what we're paying relative to what the economy can generate is grossly deviated. And eventually, corporate profits and earnings matter, and they matter a lot relative to what you're paying for investment. Quick break. Be right back on The Real Investment Show. Don't go away.
You're listening to The Real Investment Show.
Long-term care is the financial elephant in the room. The median national cost of a private room in a nursing home? $8,517 a month. Are your finances prepared to handle that burden? Our next Candid Coffee with Richard Rosso and Danny Ratliff can show you how to protect your finances from the effects of a long-term care event, the myths to ignore, and how to prepare a plan to address the cost. Register for the special long-term care edition of Candid Coffee, Saturday, December 5th at RIAadvisors.com.
Life is a series of events. How long will your retirement last? More importantly, how long will your retirement funds last? You can plan for a successful retirement with RIA Advisors' free financial planning tool, MyBlocks. It's our online modular manager for your money and your life. Does your vision of retirement match up to reality? MyBlocks can help to determine how much you'll need and how to achieve that goal. Create your own personal financial vision for the next decade with MyBlocks, our free tool at RIAadvisors.com. That's RIAadvisors.com.